morning, Nicholas. You there?
Can you hear us, Nicholas?
Yes, I can.
Ooh, can we turn the volume down? You're coming down
Yeah.
loud and
It's
clear.
just because we had the whole system on.
I know, higher.
Up and down.
Say something, Nicholas.
Test.
You look beautiful today.
Oh, you sweet talker, you. But just tonight?
No, all the time.
I was talking about Gary.
Nicholas, did you get a copy of this letter intent letter?
No.
I will scan it. We won't talk about it here, but this came with the check from BTS, so that's why
Yeah.
I'm.
My copy.
And the check was made out to LCBA.
Is Don not gonna be here?
I'm hoping he'll be here shortly.
All right.
You mean the items on here?
No, nothing on there.
Okay.
It's just what we've paid Nick. Everything else is status quo. You know, you can't read it. But that's just the way it comes out.
This is not the same one I saw last week, but maybe.
This is
maybe
us.
Yeah, no,
This is the same one. Nothing's changed.
because he told me he was paying the $16.50 per month since May and charging it again.
Well, he might be because,
It may be buried in there.
well, no, it's in here because we haven't, Nick hasn't charged us that much money, I don't think. So, yeah, that's where it's at. 'Cause Nick's bill's only been like 10,000 or so. Hasn't been super
Okay,
big.
Anyway. so it's what I thought.
They're not here
It's
yet.
5:32, ladies.
I'm going to start. I'm just going to say,
Okay,
oh, this one's on. Is this yours or me? This is you.
okay,
Yeah, I think we should start so when they do get here, we can keep moving.
yeah,
We're ready when they get here.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. All right, so we'll call meeting open, and first calling to order, and the first order of business is public comment. Anybody want to sign up is here for public
Yes.
comment, and Glenn, just let us know if you have anybody online. We do? Oh, sorry.
yeah. You girls want to make a comment?
Ladies, would y'all like to make a comment?
In unison. Okay, and we'll call the public comment period closed. Michelle, minutes.
Yes, I submitted minutes to everyone and had printed out a version that incorporated the only revisions that anybody made, which is Gary's, which he sent
A while
a
ago.
number of weeks ago in the red line version. So I just accepted all those changes and
Okay.
present these meeting minutes to you today.
Can I make a motion to approve these minutes?
Yes, I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approved as written. All right. Nicholas, Batty?
Yes. So, not too much is going on with Batty. Original date to have the design complete was October 28th, but it's pushed out to November 19th. However, this will not affect the overall project. The construction is still scheduled to begin in the first quarter of 2022. So everything seems to be going on, well, not with the exception of the design being a little delayed, everything appears to be on schedule.
Okay, questions, comments? Okay. Nicholas, you're up again for BTS.
Okay, so I think it was overheard someone saying BTS made the first payment for the fixed wireless project for November. To date, there are 102 installs as of 11/10, which is good news. We've broken into triple digits. A couple of months ago, BTS has switched its CBR license provider, and because they were having intermittent service issues. And the new service provider seems to be very stable with the new service provider, so that's good news. And then once again, we have all the smart poles are in service with the exception of Thomas Landing, which we're going to be working on a fixed wireless solution for that. It doesn't seem to be able to get any LTE wireless service there using the SIMS card. So we're working on how we could change all the smart poles from LTE wireless to a fixed wireless solution to improve service and bring Thomas Landing on board, back online, I should say. So that's the BTS updates.
All right, comments, questions from anybody up here? Okay, while we're waiting for APB, one thing I forgot to put on here, which is a very quick thing. Oh, they're coming. The meeting with the Board of Supervisors, that meeting monthly will be 18 November. Want to know who wants to do the presentation for that meeting? Yes, you're right. Especially the broadband stuff. Oh, great, nobody's going to jump in. Oh, here they are.
No,
They came in, here they are. Oh, I thought he was still looking for him.
How you doing? How you doing?
Just ask for a volunteer for the 18 November BOS monthly meeting.
Me?
Hey,
Oh,
I'm just asking. Anybody
I'm
want
looking
to
to
jump
see if-
right in?
I'm
For
looking
what, huh?
I'm looking to see if
Knew it was too good to
For
be.
Board of Supervisors?
Board of Supervisors.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, the BOS, yeah.
I'll do it.
All right, Kevin's going to do it.
Who's writing it up?
All right, she'll send it with the report that you'll do the presentation.
Okay, what
Thank you.
presentation? Oh,
The
you mean just
monthly.
the normal stand-up?
Yeah, the
Oh,
normal,
yeah.
yeah.
I thought you meant like a presentation.
Oh, yeah, for you, go ahead.
And the report's due like this week, right?
Uh-huh. And I haven't heard from Don, but I know it's coming, so that's why I sent that email.
Right.
So, what are we on now?
And that'll be the APB. Jimmy's here.
Perfect timing.
Yep, we finished our meeting.
Is there a reason all those doors are propped open?
I'll have the cleaning person. We can close.
Are you sure? I'll get some.
For those of you who don't know, this is Mr. Jimmy Carr. He's the big honcho for APB, All Points Broadband. So we got the heavy guns. Oh, I don't need this. We have our techie guy here if you need help or anything. Need the lights changed? Oh, yeah, we need to dim the lights a bit.
Oh, take off the glass.
Oh, there we are.
Okay, thank you,
Here.
Gwen.
We have screens.
We do.
Oh,
although our screen
Glenn,
is
can you
Nicholas.
switch our screens?
Yeah, he will.
Here we go. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Chair, members of the authority, thank you for the opportunity to be back to give you all an update on where we are. And we have some very exciting news about construction timeline for Lancaster County this evening. I want to thank and acknowledge a couple of folks who are here with me tonight. Jerry Davis, who is the Executive Director of the Northern Neck Planning District Commission, who's been a leader in this project from the very beginning. In the middle there are Sean Flora and Lee Groves. Sean is our Director of Fiber Construction. Lee is our Senior Manager for Outside Plant Engineering. And then we have Brad Hicks, the CEO of Northern Neck Electric Cooperative, and Ed Diggs, who you all, is no stranger, I think, in this room, has been involved in the rural broadband program from the very beginning. You all know, I've said before, so I'll go very briefly through this presentation. So we're your partner in a Virginia-based rural broadband company. We operate in 4 states out of now 5 offices. Each of the last now 4 years, we've been named to Inc. Magazine's list of America's fastest growing privately held companies. Year to date in 2021, and we have some applications pending with you all that hopefully will run up the score a little bit here, but year to date we've received more than $51 million in state and federal grants on electric utility co-investment for projects in our partner jurisdictions. Every single one of those projects, every single dollar is for a fiber to the home deployment. that will achieve universal fiber to the home in the relevant county partner. To support our continued growth around, I forget when I was last before, I'm not sure if this was before or after we had announced this transaction. Okay.
At the break the ground, it was announced.
Okay. So we announced in July that we're bringing on a new lead equity sponsor, a firm called Searchlight Capital Partners. Searchlight, through All Points and their other portfolio companies, is the #4 builder of fiber to the home passings in the country. And we're very pleased and thrilled that they are joining the All Points team as our lead equity sponsor. Tonight, I'm going to give you just a quick overview of the initiative and kind of where we are holistically. Then I'm going to give you some more detail about the construction sequencing and the status of construction. And I'll be happy to take questions. Maybe let me get to the end, I think, and open it up for questions as we go. So as you all know, in January of this year, All Points became what is known as a provisional recipient of the Federal Rural Digital Opportunity Fund grant awards. And we received some federal funding to extend service throughout the region, including into Lancaster County. In April of this year, the Authority, All Points, and Dominion Energy Virginia entered into an MOU to extend fiber to all of the currently unserved locations in the county. In June of this year, the State Corporation Commission issued its final order on Phase 1 of the regional project. In September of this year, and this is a government program, so I'm not throwing anyone under the bus, but all government programs take a little longer than we would have hoped. But in September of this year, we got final state approval to commence construction on Phase 1. So all of that work is in the 4 other counties, but the network in Lancaster is connecting to those networks. So this, we're kind of at the point now where thinking through Phase 1 versus Phase 2 is getting a little artificial. It's one large project. So I sometimes revert to that because that's how we think about funding, but really it's now one regional project. We are anticipating that by, so the primary source of public financing for the project in Phase 2 and in Lancaster County is the Federal Rural Digital Opportunity Fund. We received that provisional award actually
Today.
Oh, good. So we got the award. We knew about it in December. We submitted all the paperwork and it became public in February. And I think it has taken a lot longer than most observers, including yours truly, would have expected for the FCC to get around to, issuing these awards. But yes, so around lunchtime today, there was a lot of hooting and hollering in the office when that notice came out. And so hopefully, that's the next to last hoop that you have to go through. That's the most important one. And so we expect that we'll have the final federal approval for the Phase 2 funding by the end of the calendar year.
So this was long-form acceptance? Or?
This is the long-form approval and the ready-to-authorize notice.
Okay.
And there are a couple other, we got to go through some steps with USAC, but
Money.
it's
Letter of
mostly just
credit.
checking the box for things that are already in place now that we need to go through. So yes, that was a major win today. And another point that I'll touch on later is that they changed the rule on the VADI program this year, so we were able to apply for some additional funding in Lancaster to accelerate the project. So originally we had Lancaster falling roughly a year behind the cadence for the rest of Phase 1 with the project. If our application is funded for the acceleration project, which is an if, it's a big, I want to manage it. Very popular program, very, very competitive. We're in the middle of a challenge process, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the status of that. But if that is funding, it would enable us to accelerate Lancaster to, instead of being complete in 2024, to complete Lancaster in 2023. So we're hopeful about that. We will find out some news we expect in December, or probably my guess is January, just given the volume of applications that, despite their best efforts, I think it'd be very difficult for the state to get through all of that in December. In terms of construction sequencing, so we think of it, and the construction guys will be annoyed that I use the wrong words, but I'd say it the way I think of it. We got 2 zones to start construction. And this has to do with where we have a route back to a data center. Right, so we have a route where we can get back to our data center core, and we begin spidering out from that. So we have two zones. Zone 1, we call it, is in the King George and Stafford area, and Zone 2 is in the Warsaw area. And so construction will originate in those areas and begin spidering out.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Or you want to, okay.
Hey, let me see if I hit everything, and then I'll come back
Okay,
to that.
that's fine. It's just one of the vectors has you coming straight down 3 from Warsaw. And previously you had been coming down 200 and then going up to 3 to where the Dominion offices were.
You mean on the arrows there?
Yeah.
I knew this. That's conceptual. That's not specific,
Okay,
right? That's
okay.
like, you know, right?
But-
So, I mean, the way this will work is that as each individual segment is ready, the make ready is done, the permits are obtained, you just release, you know, we break the project into segments that could be as short as a mile or as long as 5 miles, and when everything is checked on that segment, you release it to construction. And you gotta have enough of those ready so that you've got, you're releasing additional segments to your construction contractors on an ongoing basis, so they'll always have enough work to do. So zone 2 is in the Warsaw area. Turning more specifically to Lancaster, so we were using a number of about 2,700 last time we were here. We have done a lot more field work. This is something that Gary and Nicholas and a number of folks on our team, in particular Chuck Hogg, have spent a lot of time really going through your data, our data, and we think we've narrowed down the remaining, it's actually 2,637 locations, but so I say approximately 2,640 locations that are unserved in the county today. Now, that is a state definition of unserved. So there will be locations on here that were the subject of a 2020 VADI grant awarded to Atlantic Broadband, and they may not have service at their home yet, but they're on a state map. Oh, we funded a location there, so we can't go after those. But these are the 2,640, and I think there's good agreement. And we may find 1 or 2 as we go along, and we'll extend service to them. But I think we have a pretty good agreement and universe on what the unserved population and the unserved locations are in the county. The project will include approximately 200 miles of distribution fiber, so that's not everything. That's just the core distribution network. Again, residents can go to fiber.allpointsbroadband.com and they can confirm whether or not their location is in the project, and they can register for updates about the project. So they can say, yes, I will be interested someday. Please contact me 90 days before service is available at my location. You will see we are not going to be active in the press or the media trying to really publicize the project, because it's very important rural broadband to not overpromise. People have heard that for a long time, and so we don't want to communicate with potential customers until we're a couple months out from actually being able to deliver service to them, right? Because people hear, oh, broadband is coming, and it takes another year or two, that's a problem. So we will contact them on a rolling basis approximately 90 days before service is available.
Do you say that on your website?
Hmm?
Do you say that on your website? So it says, if you're interested in service, pre-register, go to that site. Does it explain to people that when the fiber is there, 30 to 60 days or whatever the case may be, you'll be notified then?
I think, and I can check on that, it's a good question, but I believe that when you complete that survey, if you're in a qualifying location, you tell us how you want to be contacted, that you get a response email or whatever your preferred form of communication is that says, thank you for registering, we will be contacting you
Okay.
in advance of your serviceability. But
We just get a lot of questions, and we've tried to manage expectations, because we understand that it could be 2023 or 2024, right? And I know that people are going to your website, but I haven't gone myself to look at the messaging back, and it would be useful, I think, for the community.
It's
out
an
there.
excellent suggestion, and we will do that tomorrow.
And actually, it'd be great if you could send us a link or Sherry a link so she can go ahead and put it up on our website so we have the specific link that you want to go to your website.
I already linked to their
Oh, you did?
website.
Yeah,
I
that's
do.
Oh, okay.
If you click on APB, there's another link to APB2 for this purpose of registering. I've just never done it myself, and I know that I keep getting these emails about, well, but when's it coming, when's it coming? And it's like, there's a lot of money, it's coming, it has to be built, it's coming faster than it would have, but you need to be patient.
I
Right?
think we need to get that out to the, I've got to remember, you're talking about unserved. They have no website. They can't get to the website. We do need to get an article out in the paper that says, here's the website. And I agree with you, don't get expectation. They think they're
Right.
going to see it. But we do have to tell them, tell the public that it's coming. Be patient, but if you have access, and they go to the library, whatever, to this website, you'll have additional information. They don't hear that because they don't have a computer. So we do have to communicate something just to let them know they haven't been forgotten, but not the specifics that you're alluding to, referring to. I agree with you, those don't have to go out.
Yeah, so, and I would, since about 12:30 today, when the RDOF,
Public notice?
that was a
Mhm.
milestone, right, in kind of
Mhm.
our communications plan, so, and as part of that, I think they probably already are, but we'll check the follow-up message. And we will have a more detailed FAQs that is specific by project zone, so people know that, because there probably will be some press coverage about,
Right.
this thing in the paper, so.
Perfect.
So you're going to be involved in the writing of that press coverage? I know you and Dominion had, part of our MOU is that if articles can go in, be approved, the county, APB, Dominion, because we have to get something in the paper for those who don't have access.
So we can share with you before it's published
Mhm.
what our planned FAQs are for the county, and then we can put those out to the paper, you can put them out to the paper, you can
That's
put them on
great.
your website. I would, there are a lot of people in unserved locations going to fiber.allpointsbroadband.com and registering from a phone locations in Lancaster
great.
County.
And they
So-
could do it from the public library.
Yeah.
There are ways,
There are
yeah.
places- We just need to let them know, here it is.
Right.
And do however you want to get in touch with you. And I think it's important for them to have that. Thank you.
So in terms of construction status, now this is Lancaster specific, so this is not overall region, this is Lancaster specific. Make-ready engineering and construction are now underway. Residents will begin seeing field crews performing pole work in Lancaster in the second quarter of next year.
Already seen conduit being buried for Dominion.
Okay.
I specifically
That may
asked.
be
who
somebody's-
So
y'all burying
I'm
that
not here
for?
to talk about Dominion, I'm just talking about when, there's a lot of other stuff going on,
Yeah.
I'm just,
I'm
so.
that guy
You're
that'll,
not going to cross lines.
I'm that guy that'll pull over on the side of the road and be like, yo, who y'all burying that conduit for? And they're like, oh, we're burying it for so-and-so. All right, thanks.
We expect to begin our last mile construction in Lancaster in the third quarter of 2022. So that is the same time frame that we were on earlier, I think in April when we presented to you, summer of 2022. We expect to begin lighting customers early in the fourth quarter of next year. Again, locations who are interested can pre-register at fiber.allpointsbroadband.com, and we will be following up with the authority with some more communication materials and FAQs, as we've discussed. If supplemental VADI funding is received, if asterisk underlined, conditional, substantial completion in Lancaster would be accelerated from late 2024 to end of 2023.
That's great.
And with that, I'm happy to take any questions you have.
I have one question about the filing with the State Corporation Commission. Your proposal back in April said third quarter of this year, but I don't think it's been submitted for Phase 2 pilot program. Am I correct, or have I missed it on the website?
Yes, so we have a prudency determination for the vast majority of the regional project. There will be follow-up filings, both for additional mileage and to go through the, I think it's called the rate recovery, I'm not the energy guy, but the recovery process. There will be
For the
additional
21 million,
ongoing
yeah.
filings
Okay.
for, that are required by Dominion.
Aren't those filed jointly with APB, or is,
Now, that is a Dominion filing in which we are a witness.
A witness, okay, that's, but that submission hasn't been made yet, or that proceeding's not underway for
The
phase?
next round is not yet underway.
Okay.
Correct.
And do you know if Dominion, and maybe it won't matter that much because it's so far out, but I noticed that the infrastructure bill has about $1 billion for middle mile. Do they need any additional middle mile money beyond this phase 2 state corporate, or the pilot program for your project? Or is it your understanding that your relationship
I
with?
learned a long time ago not to speak on behalf of Dominion, but I don't think, I'm unaware of Dominion looking for, I have not discussed that with Dominion, that's what I should say.
Okay, well, maybe, let me rephrase it. Does APB feel that the arrangement with Dominion gives it sufficient middle mileage coverage to serve the households?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that was safe.
I mean, you will see construction activity if you haven't already. So, yes, make-ready work is underway. Construction will be taking place in Lancaster on the timeframe I laid out.
Great,
That was good.
very exciting.
In going down with this new, assuming the infrastructure bill of $65 billion goes through, it's increased money to support economically challenged people on the internet. My understanding is it's going to go from $50 down to $30 per resident, okay? There's not really a package near that. Could you have a package that's close where, you know, maybe they're paying $10 a month? Because the closest package right now you had at $59.95, I think was.
Yeah, so, like you, I have not had time to read in great detail everything that's infrastructure bill includes in it, so I've just read some summaries. Your understanding is the same as mine, is that there's an ongoing benefit for low-income households for $30 a month. We would participate and offer in that plan. I think when I was here in April, our plan, our base tier plan in Lancaster was going to be $65, and now it's going to be $59.99. That would be the rack rate. Would we, you know, offer promotions off of that? And yes, but I mean, the rack rate would be, is $59.99 for 50 by 50 coverage.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you went down to, say, 30 by 30 or something like that, could you have something that hits the?
That lower income.
I mean, generally across our fiber projects, we're not going to offer anything slower than 50/50.
Okay. So really, if they come to you with the SNAP card or whatever they want for proof, basically you can say, hey, we can do this for you.
Yes, we will comply. It's my understanding, again, I haven't read the whole thing, or I haven't read any of it, I've only read summaries of it, but it's my understanding that we will be required, we would do it
Right.
anyway, but we would be required to participate in those programs. So I don't know if there's a regulatory proceeding and some rulemaking's going on probably, but once those programs are up and running, we will participate in them fully.
And there won't be, I mean, you already participate in the EEB program, so you're set. You just got to relabel it, the Affordable Connectivity Program, and you're going to do the same thing that you've been doing, except instead of 50, it's going to be 30. So, except for 60 days when it's enacted for everybody who's getting it for 50, they get 50 for 2 extra months. So, that's great. And you're not doing it here because you're not here yet, but
Correct, there's no.
you plan to roll it out here.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Other questions?
I think we have a public question.
Excuse me? There's a question? Oh, Chuck, I'm sorry.
I have a question about your website. You got to speak in the microphone for me. I have a question about your website. I've pre-registered 2 or 3 times. Is this website new?
No, if you have pre-registered before, why don't we, while we're not in recorded session before I leave, you can give me your actual address and I will check it on the back end. But if you have pre-registered once before, You don't need to do it again.
Well, when I go to the website to check my status, it says not available. Then it asks me for a password. I put in the password and it goes nowhere. But I'll be glad to give you my personal
I'm not the
information.
person to fix that, but I know who is, so I'll be happy to help you with that.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I've got one.
Oh, my gosh.
Jimmy, Lancaster has not put up a financial commitment as of yet. Can you tell me when that may be expected and how it will come, phased or what?
Yeah, so the MOU between the authority, I think, expresses, I forget how we worded it, the intent of the authority to make its contribution. Now that we have come down to brass tacks, we probably need to figure that out.
The reason I'm asking because CARES money that we have kind of earmarked for some of this has to be spent by December 31st. So I didn't know what your plans were.
Okay, I didn't know that was a CARES Act money. We should talk about that on Friday.
Would we have to have gone into any sort of an official contract before we can do anything money-wise? I mean, we're on an MOU status, but do we need?
Yeah, there would need to be some paperwork documenting that, and we would also need to check the boxes of the relevant federal program.
So we got 6 weeks, approximately.
So what's on Friday?
We've got a county administrator's meeting
Okay.
that I didn't know that Jimmy was going to participate in, but apparently he is.
Oh, no, I knew tomorrow was a state holiday, and my calendar is full, so I was going to follow up on Friday.
What state holiday's tomorrow?
Veterans
Veterans
Day.
Day.
You're a veteran.
They don't give me no day off.
No, we should, that's something we should talk about sooner than later and get papered over in a satisfactory way.
Well, if there are no further questions, we'll close this open session, because we're going to, Jimmy, I know you have a tight schedule for this evening.
Yeah, I mean, I don't, unless there's something else that you want to cover in closed session, I don't have a need to
Okay, it's more about points, if you will, coverage, and just getting confirmation. I did talk to Chuck last night, but basically the number that you gave me, you're covering essentially 406 more parcels relative to the Batty proposal, which was 2,231. So I'm trying to understand, and that's okay, because that means you're getting a lot of the homes I'm
So
concerned
part
with.
of that may be, and Chuck is the guy to answer
Yeah.
this question, not me. The way that Vadi scores it, you only get half a point, you only get half a location of credit for each RDOF location that you're seeking to accelerate.
Mhm. But
So I know, because I looked at it with him yesterday, that it is
Mhm.
26, I think it's 37 discrete locations will actually be built to.
And some of the things that I'm asking is, I did a subtraction from the shape files that you had, from the ones we had, which were very similar to what you started off with. And, you get a delta left. I also put what's on the current Fatty 2021 proposal. And then I end up with a lot of these, what I call unserved houses. We've answered some of the questions, but if you're covering 406 of those, I think, I'm very happy, because it means we're pretty
406
close
more
to
people.
all covered.
Yeah.
So that's,
So I had understood that you had worked with Chuck and our GSS folks and worked that out, but they should be sharing whatever
okay.
you guys are, there's no secret about that. If you
Right.
want to exchange information, the objective is to make sure we get everybody, so.
Yeah, well, that's exactly my point.
Yeah.
So, okay.
The MOU contemplates entering into, I can't remember the language, but a definitive agreement. Are you saying that you think we can do that by the end of December, so the payment could be made, or are you thinking that we could enter into some kind of interim agreement where you would acknowledge that the payment has been received, ahead of the game,
I think that may
which is
depend
kinda
on the
funny.
source of funding that the county is going to use.
Okay,
there are different requirements on different pots of money, so.
Okay, so how could you be ready with a definitive agreement that I assume that you're gonna want to do the first draft of by the end of December?
Yes.
Okay, great.
That would be appreciated. See a draft early, by the end of December would be good.
Don?
Yeah, I mean, let me just also add that we can find other uses for the CARES money, so it's not like we have to spend it on this project by December 31st. I'm just trying to understand,
Okay.
when, any part of this payment may be due.
Because the payment wouldn't otherwise be due until the end of phase one, and it sounds like phase two isn't until well after the first of the year, so we wouldn't
Yeah,
really.
I just need to know what to expect,
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah, so let me talk with my CFO about that and figure out what
The best way,
the best way to do it.
yeah.
Well, if the money's not due until the,
Yeah, I mean, the way that the
Second phase,
MOU
then.
works is that
I don't have it. in
we
front of me.
contribute after the conclusion of phase one, and from the presentation, I understood the end of phase one was going to be after the end of the year. I mean,
So, hold on, no,
Yeah.
there's,
I know you said you're now blending
there's
them
phase
as
one
one.
under the MOU,
Uh,
and then there's phase one of
Okay, you explain the difference to us, and then how does that affect this 1231?
I need to look at the MOU again and see what it says.
Okay,
I don't,
No.
we'll do what it says. I just don't
I know
remember
there was no
exactly
date
how
in
we.
there about those
got the
definitive agreements. and
Yeah.
We'd like to get at least a draft, as you just said, it'd be
Sure.
great if we can get that before the end of December,
Sure,
okay?
okay.
Yeah, I
what?
have some questions. I've reviewed the VADI application that we downloaded, and we didn't have much opportunity to review it before it was submitted. So I believe that we just got it, the day before.
Yeah.
And my questions are regarding the planning district's role. I understand from the application that it's the fiscal agent and administrator. And the application refers to a partnership which includes the counties and kind of a regional partnership, the authority, Dominion, the electric cooperative, APB, and the planning district. And the planning district represents the interests of the counties. And so I need to understand the role of the planning district in this, because it's very different from the VADI application that we did, with APB in Middlesex County and so forth. ABB, sorry. And so we don't have an agreement with the planning district. The broadband authority under the planning district has been inactive, and Gary is our representative on that. So I just need to understand how that's all working.
So if a grant is awarded, then the county or the broadband authority would enter into an agreement with the planning district commission. And the planning district commission would serve as the fiscal agent for the project, which means that the planning district is responsible for the reporting to the Department of Housing and Community Development, and the invoicing and the bookkeeping and the remittances, which is a function that the PDC performs for a number of that's kind of one of the primary things that the PDC does.
One of our main issues is communication back to us, which it's been poor, and we need to improve that by some function. And that's really where we're heading to. If the PDC is responsible for communication, we need to strengthen that. If it's going to be directly with APB/Dominion/whoever, that's fine too. We sort of prefer it that way because so we get it straight from you guys.
Well, we will continue to be neck to choke if you have questions about the status of the project. I mean, the PDC's role is kind of purely administrative and interacting with the grant-making authorities.
So they
Who
have,
would be on the management team?
Who would be on which management
Well,
team?
like for the VADI grant that we have.
the one we have with ABB, there's a management team that I and Nicholas represent Lancaster on, and they're reps for the other counties. Is there going to be a management team for this VADI grant? And
I
who
think
would
that
be
if
on
we
it?
are fortunate to receive the body acceleration grant, that's the type of thing that this body would need to agree to.
See, the point
I
in-
think maybe we should just explain our confusion, because when
Yeah,
you
I
look
mean,
at the grant,
When you look at it, it
application.
looks as if the plan, it looks like we already have some kind of agreement with the planning district, which I'm not necessarily opposed to. It's just that we haven't had any communications with the planning district at all about this. So it's like news to me. And like on page 8, it says from April of 2021 until the date of this application, APB, the planning district, the counties, and the authority have held routine coordination meetings to advance the regional initiative and to develop
So the
this project.
planning
to-
committee and that is the other 4 counties?
But we're specifically mentioned in that, and that's from April 2021, that's when we got involved, I believe. So it's talking about these regular meetings
that we haven't attended.
that
So there's
we
just
weren't
a little
aware,
confusion.
that we weren't aware of, and so that's just like news to me when I read it. So I'm not saying anything wrong is going on, I'm just saying it's
I'm just trying to figure out.
trying to
plan.
understand the plan, and you just told me that if the grant is awarded, then we would be entering into an agreement with the planning district, and I'd like to understand, well, what kind of agreement is that? Do you have a draft that we could see from the previous FADI
Sure.
grant that you got? And then, because we'd like, my concern with the planning district, I understand has lots of experience with the fiscal administration of grants and so forth. I'd like to understand, what they're getting paid. Are they getting a percentage of the grant, or how that's kind of working? And then I'd also, my concern is that, like, we have Nicholas, who is involved with the VADI grant with ABB, and he's highly accomplished in this area of broadband. And I don't see the representatives from the planning district having that kind of expertise with respect to ensuring the proper
Deployment.
administration, deployment of it. And so those are my concerns, and I just want to make sure that, you consider them and address them.
Sure, I think those are all very fair questions and concerns, and I'm happy to provide you a draft of how we've addressed that in the past.
Thank you.
A question. When it came to the VADI with APB, we got it like the day before it was due. Okay, that's water under the bridge now. But as meetings go on with DHCD, we'd like to know about those. If they concern Lancaster, we'd like to know. So it comes back to that point that was made earlier. Something to tell us what is going on and who's speaking for Lancaster, what they're saying for Lancaster. If we don't know it, they're not speaking for Lancaster. We speak for Lancaster. And we'll work with anybody who might be ahead of us to go ahead and have this interaction. But we want to know, we know more about Lancaster than anybody else who's working broadband. So we have a say. With whoever is speaking for us, we speak for us. And we'll speak with them about speaking for us. So we just want to have more communication with all the powers that be. Let us know who they are, and we'll work the communication issue. It's just we feel left out.
Right, well, I hear you on that. Let's remember that we just got the federal approval for this project today at lunchtime. So there hadn't been a lot of news. And you will hear more from us as there is news and activity.
I'm not worried, about the activity. I think you're pretty good. I know you've talked to Nicholas and Gary, or Chuck and others have. On that, that's been good. That's been good communication, and they've been responsive to your questions, and you've been responsive to theirs. It's just that other piece, past the technical and exactly what's going here, what's going there, that's fine. It's the rest of it. People speaking for Lancaster, who we don't know they're speaking for Lancaster. That's the piece we want to fix.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let me just make this clear, though, that we have not delegated authority to anyone to speak for us.
I understand that.
That's why that
I
track.
think, yeah, I
would
just
be
think that
good.
there was confusion from the application. Based upon what Mr. Carr said regarding the administrative role of the
District planning.
Northern
district
Act
planning
District.
as opposed to, and however it was written in the application isn't all that relevant at this point because it's really going to be dependent upon whether you win the extension, right?
That's correct.
And then there'll be something to talk about, because then the money will be there.
And we hope you're doing it, absolutely. And we want to work with you on it. We just
Absolutely.
want to make sure that, you know, we understand how it's all working.
Full
Okay.
transparency, that's what it comes down to. And
Yeah,
we'll-
because we have these citizens that show up at our meetings and question us all the time.
No, I mean, this is something we've talked with Gary and Nick about, so, message received, where our communication plan, as I've said today, will begin ramping up since we actually received approval. The next to super secret, almost final approval for this project today, so. I'd be happy to come back in the first quarter and give you all a more detailed update about where we are, but if it's okay, I would really like to get over to Northumberland County, so I'm not too late.
Yeah,
for that
understood.
thing.
That's understood.
Um,
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
There are a lot of detailed questions. I didn't want to get into them because it's
we'll
going
do
into the
that.
weeds. Do I go to Chuck to ask these details, or do you want them, or?
No, I think Chuck is managing this on the technical side, and
Okay.
pretty soon he's going to be handing that off to members of Sean's team who will have
Okay.
more.
Okay.
And of course, any articles, anything we do like we did in the previous one, send it to me and I'll make sure everybody has it and we'll give you any input for anything you think would be great for us to put out, that we
Okay.
can put out.
Yeah.
Just send it to me and I'll make sure it gets
Yeah.
out to
He's
comments.
trying to go.
Yeah, and just so you know, on our website, we've been taking public information and putting it within your project. So, so we do have that on our website. So people, again, it's limited data because it's whatever's in the public. So.
Oh, you're just repeating what we, yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Public domain is
FCC,
public domain,
whatever.
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
APB.
Yeah.
We
But
can-
anyway, so that's the type of things. We want to put out as much information for our residents as we can.
Okay,
Okay.
Thanks for your time.
thank you
Judy.
all.
Thank you. Good luck.
We look forward to seeing more
Thank
APB at our meetings. Oh, I like him. He gave a thumbs up. Well,
Okay, thank you for coming.
safe travel out there, guys.
Really need to go.
Thanks.
Do we
Thanks.
need to go into
Boy,
closed session?
that's almost everybody.
There's
Bye-bye.
BTS contract stuff we should hammer out.
All right, you had another issue you want to discuss in closed session?
Yeah, some of the BTS. Is Nicholas
Okay.
still here, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Yes.
still on.
Yeah.
All right, you can just shut us down. We're going to go close the open session and go into closed session.
Do we
Before
still
we
need
do
to-
that, just like as a follow-up
Take care, Chuck.
on the discussion we just had, I think that we should think about with like Nicholas, my thought is if the Northern Neck Planning District, if we, go with this role that they're gonna have in this and have some kind of agreement with them, which I'd like to see. But I would really like to see somebody like Nicholas or Gary, if he was interested in doing it, having access to the same type of information that we have access to in the other VATI
VATI.
grant, right? Because when you look at this application, they are representing us, you know what I mean? So we have something on the line, and so it seems to me that we should be able to participate in decisions. I think that we should be able to participate in that management team like we participate in the management team.
Well, according to,
Don, is it okay if one or two of us come with you, just for that section of the administrator meeting, or?
County administrator?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if that's on the agenda for this Friday.
It didn't sound like it
Yeah,
was.
that's
He was
why.
talking to somebody.
Jimmy said Friday, and I said, oh, he must be coming to the
Yeah.
county
okay.
administrator
No,
meeting.
but when there is there an issue? or something?
No problem whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah, and the
So that
reason
may
I
be
bring it
easy.
up is like, I sent you guys that quote from the article in the paper with Northumberland County.
Oh, they're
One-
furious.
One of the members of the Broadband Authority appeared as an individual before the Board of Supervisors and wanted to get out of the deal. He wanted to cancel the MOU, and it was because of lack of information and problems with the timeline, from what I understand. So I didn't want to bring that up in front of them and throw it in their
Well,
face, but
they're gonna go there, and actually it was two of their members of their board,
was it
Pat-
two?
Patrick O'Brien
Yeah.
and
and who's the chair, and David Maurer, who we know, he was the owner of
Signal
Signal Wave.
Wave.
I see.
And they were trying to essentially do something similar with BTS, but we did it before we had any culpable.
Well, and
Well,
so
not
maybe,
culpability,
you
but
know, we
before.
contact them and really work as a regional team and
Mm-hmm.
say, okay, well, we want our representative, they're gonna want their representative, so everybody's
And I think that's what.
Which is,
I think that's what they intend, I actually do. I
do?
just think that the way that they made that application and the thing about April, and I think that this planning, whatever its name is again, other
Jerry
acronym.
Davis.
Gary Davis,
Yeah.
he's sitting back
I
there.
think that that is purely administrative. I think what they're gonna be having him do is something we want him to do
I-
for all of the
I'm all for that, no, I
counties.
get that, the
You know,
fiscal
so-
administration, that's his bailiwick,
a-
that's
and
what he
they-
does.
Actually, I found out a lot more when we had a discussion on an email chain that we had. Jerry Davis thanked them for doing everything. In other words, we thought that Jerry Davis had known about writing this proposal all along. Again, he implied APB did everything.
Oh, I'm sure they wrote the
Yeah.
grant, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't be the fiscal
Yeah.
administrator, so
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not
that-
saying that.
I will say the PDC is very good at administering
what they
grants.
do,
That's what they
right.
do.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah,
very good
yeah.
at that.
And it sounds like that's all they're gonna be doing.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I
Right,
just-
but they're not gonna oversee the construction.
No, no.
And- You know what I mean?
No.
And that's
They're
my
not gonna
concern.
ask the tough questions.
And maybe the thing is to revitalize that broadband authority that follows under the
The
planning
PDC.
district, where you would go to the meeting and whatever everybody else
That's
is,
what happened.
you know what I mean, and have it through there. And that way the information could flow to all the counties. That seems like, to me, like the most logical way to kind of,
I think after this
do
and
it.
after his meeting this evening, something like that is going to happen.
Yeah, I think the other thing, the way APB presented to us, they were gonna give us a turnkey, situation. In other words, just sit back, we'll take care of everything.
right.
And we are well-established and have a lot more information than any of the
Yeah,
other
the
counties.
counties.
And so we want to go ahead and take our knowledge to ensure. I mean, one of the problems with Northumberland, they don't know if certain areas are being covered. And that's why they wanted to get BTS involved there.
Although I will say that if there's, I don't know how big of an issue this $575,000 is, but our existing MOU didn't contemplate that we would have to be paying that by the end of this year.
Oh, no, at the end of phase one.
Yeah, at the end of phase one, we looked it up. In the MOU, it says at the end of
And
phase
that's
one.
fine. I just want to
Yeah.
know when I'm going to get a bill.
What's the end
Yeah.
of
From
phase
them.
one?
That doesn't, it just
It looks-
says,
Right now, to me, it looks like it's
And-
somewhere after the end of the year and about May
After conclusion.
22.
Yeah.
So
But then he
he's
implied,
collapsing
yeah,
that,
he
right?
implied tonight that he was merging phase one and phase two together.
Yeah,
So
the
Yes,
melding.
and
Well,
I think that
there's
that's great.
confusion, there's confusion in when he
Yeah.
says that, because there's, and I knew this was gonna be an issue. There's phase one of what they view as three phases to the construction project. That's one thing. Then there's a different phase for the whole northern neck. And they wanted to have the whole northern neck be phase one, and then we were gonna be phase two if they got us
Right.
on
Right.
board. Well, they got us on board, but now they're merging us back into phase
phase
one.
one.
Yeah, I was
of
really
their-
just
their-
trying to be sensitive to Don's point that
Yeah.
he has this bucket of money that he needs to spend by the end of the year, and I think that
Give me
APB
all
is willing to go back and accommodate us if that's the need.
Yeah.
But if we don't absolutely need to do it, otherwise I don't think we'd have to be paying anything till after.
Well,
And
this
that's
is
fine.
something-
I just want a schedule, so I
Sure.
know, because
Yeah.
I have other uses. I can spend that money. We're not going to pay anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay a bill, I wouldn't pay it early.
Yeah.
No, but can you,
Yeah.
I don't know if
Tom,
this is legal, can you
have
put
you
in
seen the annex?
escrow
have you been
with,
in the annex yet?
with APB, and then at the time that they, the thing is released?
It's-
Oh, well,
I don't think I
Well-
would do that.
well, if I understand what you're suggesting, can you say that it's,
It's earmarked
it's earmarked for this broadband project,
Right.
but it won't be swept from the account until they're at this point of deployment, which will be after the end of the year. That may be possible.
No, it's gotta be spent by this.
Would it,
Spent, okay.
would this be good to use them to bring them to the, so we get the contract done early, sooner than later?
Well, that's
Sounds
the
like
point.
he's willing
Yeah,
to do
that
that.
Sounds
seems
like
like-
he heard that. He got that message.
And I'm sure he looked at the money.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know. he
Sure.
does.
So you
I mean,
can-
I think it's advantageous to the
Right.
LCBA to start this process earlier than later.
Yeah, he said he'd get us,
A draft.
A draft of it, since we pointed out how we didn't see the Batty draft until the day before it was due. He said he would get us a draft
Yeah.
before, that's in conjunction, with Don's question. So, yeah, we'll have something before the end of the year. And I'll be bugging him to make sure
But
it's
Don
not.
needs to spend the money.
I know, I was gonna say, I'm gonna
And I
bug him
can, I just don't wanna get a bill for $575,000.
on the 24th of
Do next
December.
week.
Yeah, and I have already spent the CARES money on something else.
Yeah,
and then-
no,
Right.
well, I'll be reminding him, I'll give him time to look at this, talk to his people, then say, are we ready to make that decision in
Yeah,
response to Don?
I mean, the other counties, they haven't ponied up all of their commitment yet, but they have paid some.
Well,
And
that,
so-
which means they also have an agreement, so it should be very easy for him to flip us an agreement that says
Exactly.
LCBA instead of,
Actually, I found out Northumberland
I
has
don't
not
think
done
they
their
do.
contract. They're still under MOU.
Have they
Oh.
pushed for the contract?
Yes.
Well, they probably didn't after the whole blow up the other day. I
Yeah,
mean,
no, they don't, they're still in MOU stage.
Yeah.
So, which is bizarre, because they've all paid about 3.25.
Oh, they
right?
paid the money?
They
without
paid
the-
some,
yeah,
they
some.
paid some.
They paid,
Some.
and that was for, if you read
Oh, it
the
was
MOU,
amazing.
there's a, this is where phases are really screwed. Phase 1 was free. Phase 2 is
Mm-hmm.
when they had to pony up X dollars, which turned out about 325,000 per county. And that's for the detailed engineering. And then
Well-
phase 3 is the actual construction. But as I said, don't get it mixed up between the other phase definitions. they have.
deployment phases.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why we need
yeah.
a contract.
Yeah,
So
I
we know where we
personally
fit.
just, I have not felt pressure that we don't have a contract with APB because they've been waiting for, I mean, the FCC just acted today.
Yeah.
And our phase is all under RDOF. And so it's like, we'll get the contract. I mean, these guys, they need us, we need them. I mean, it's, if it's good for us to get it done early because of, we want to spend the money sooner, great.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, I personally am not stressed about this contract.
Yeah, and for me personally, the whole situation, because there was conduit being run down, what's the road right beside Connemara?
Old Salem Road.
There, conduit being
Yeah,
run down Old
and it
Salem,
ran
there was
down to the
conduit being,
solar plant on,
Yeah.
Akron.
but there's conduit being run, no, this Old Salem doesn't go towards Akron.
Well, it
goes
got
to
run,
Illinois.
Goes
it was
into
run
Irvington.
down, well, okay, wherever that is.
Yeah, they were running it down
They
there.
ran it
I've
down
seen
there.
them up here running it. I've
Goes
stopped
into
and asked the
Irvington.
contractors every time. I'm like, who are you running this for?
Well, you saw Ed smiling. That's Dominion.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
Dominion?
yeah. When I would ask them who they're running for, they would look me straight in the eye and be like,
It's
this,
not APB at
He's
this
gonna
point.
instruct all his subcontractors,
Yeah,
well, if this guy with a beard stops you.
I saw him making a mental note. Talk to contractors, don't say who you're working.
oh, but see, that's not how it works. See, he'll talk to the manager of the teams. He won't talk to the teams.
Yeah.
I'll catch that guy that's coming back from the truck with the water in his hand and be like, hey, dude, who y'all run that for? And that's what I did. I literally rolled the window down.
You're
I was
good.
like, who you rolling that? Running that
Atlantic
for?
Broadband was on Fleets Bay Road today, pulling on the poles.
Oh,
They had
good.
3 trucks.
Yeah.
Yes.
But is it all the way to the end, or is it just, where are they right now?
Well, they're right at Flowering Field Road,
Okay.
So there is actual, like, movement happening in the county.
Yeah.
by more than one entity.
Yeah.
My
Yeah,
neighbor
Which is
said,
great.
my neighbor said that ABB was measuring from the Pride of Virginia down Scott Road.
They may end up doing embedding
They might,
AP, all points
Yeah,
to the area, because remember,
I'm sure they want
the president wants them to move quickly, and
well,
he's
'cause
doing a
that's
lot
an
of
area
stuff
with
on
a
his.
lot of houses right there.
Yeah,
So that
about
means about-
64.
That means about 2025, we can do away with this board.
Income, they want those to take the high.
that would be awesome.
She said
Wouldn't it
the truck started.
That would mean success.
They were using the measuring wheel. The truck started at Pride of Virginia and was measuring Little Bay Road.
Okay, so they are going down, which is great. I mean, And then APB has to make the decision when they start doing their thing, do we want to duplicate?
Right.
Which.
So we have competition.
All right, so my question is, are we going into closed session or not?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, do we have anything for closed session? I don't think so.
Contractual.
The contractual stuff with BTS, we need to sort that out and make sure
We'll take,
everything's
all
going
right,
forward.
we'll take
All
a
right,
5-minute break, and then per
What?
Virginia
We're getting a break?
2.2-3711A29, we'll go into closed session to discuss contractual issues.
Did you hear what that lady said?
Yeah.